I had to do it, guys. After seeing so many struggles and difficulties with this little concept, I wanted to explain and clarify it for you once and for all. How is the pivot point and origin of our mesh managed in Unreal, and how can it be changed? Let me explain. If you import your mesh from another 3D software, like Blender for example, you must be aware that the origin of your mesh itself has no value when imported into Unreal. Yes, the only thing that matters is the word origin. This means that even if you set a new origin on your mesh in Blender here, your origin and therefore your new pivot point will be modified, but it won't change anything in Unreal. This might be why you're having trouble understanding the engine's behavior and interpretation during the import process. So it's important to consider this concept in your Blender scene or any 3D software before any export. If it's a simple object, you just need to make sure to place it correctly relative to Blender's world origin. The key here is simply when you apply transform to your mesh, your origin will be determined again relative to the world origin, to reset the data at the location transform level. This new origin is what you'll find in Unreal no matter what happens. It's simple as that. So for this example, it's straightforward but quite easy since we have just one single object. In the case of a more complex scene, how do we proceed? Well, it turns out it's not complicated at all. Indeed, let's take for example this object here, which is in line with our general scene but obviously far from our world origin. I don't want to manually move it to Blender's world origin. That wouldn't be the right process here, because you don't want to do it on every asset. If you have a complex scene with hundreds of assets, it's going to take a bit of time. We can export the mesh as it is and directly modify its origin and therefore its pivot point directly in Unreal. There are two ways to modify the origin of our mesh in Unreal. The first is done directly in our viewport, but beware, this is temporary. If you want to animate your mesh later based on its origin, this modification won't be taken into account. You'll need to do the second method that I'll show you right after. For this first method, simply move your gizmo using the Alt plus middle mouse click shortcut. By holding this shortcut on an axis for example, you can modify your origin on the fly. You can couple this with the V shortcut to activate vertex snapping. Once you've placed it where you want your new origin to be, make sure to validate the operation with the right click under the Pivot tab, click on Set as Pivot Offsets, and that's it. Through this little menu, you have access to other manipulation tools to determine a new origin, like Set Pivot Offset here, which will be based on your right click directly. And as I said, this manipulation is temporary since you can reset your origin at any time to the one you had at the import of the mesh in question. The second method, which is non-temporary, to modify the origin directly in Unreal can be done through the native plugin Modeling Mode. It's present by default indeed, but if you don't see it, simply activate it via plugins and filter Modeling Mode. After selecting your mesh, select the Modeling Mode up there. Go directly to the Xform tab and there you'll find the pivot manipulation and therefore origin via Edit Pivots. Note that this works only on static meshes. As soon as you select Edit Pivots, you receive a warning message stating that you will concretely and definitely modify your mesh. The modification here will be non-temporary. You now have access to a palette of tools to manipulate your pivots quickly and simply, either manually by coupling the manipulation with the snapping method, or via box positions to directly snap our pivots to specific places relative to our mesh. And this method is the most common used one. After redetermining the position of a pivot, simply click on Accept and you're done. You have now redefined your pivot points in no time and effectively. Modeling Mode is powerful for this kind of manipulation. Indeed, it will save you additional manipulation or imports, exports, which are never really pleasant. Don't underestimate and don't forget its usefulness. And there you go, a short but effective video, at least I hope guys, to explain and clarify this little and simple concept. Thanks for your support guys, we will see each other very soon for the debrief of the GTC this week. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and see you very soon. Bye!